afternoon. My name is Tariq Mahmood and I am serving as a Senior Fire Protection Engineer in Punjab Emergency Service, Pakistan. Today we will be discussing the means of egress in business occupancies as per the Life and Safety Code 101 NFP. So before moving forward, we should discuss what are the business occupancies. As you can see, there are a number of occupancies which are being used for different purposes. So business occupancy is one of occupancy in which the office work or the professional work or the service type transactions are being made. So these type of occupancies are called the business occupancies. As the nature of the work suggests that the business occupancies are not having such a hazardous work, so they fall in the moderate hazard category. There are three types of category: the extra hazard, the ordinary hazard, and the light hazard. So the business occupancy falls in the moderate hazard category. Moreover, as far as the occupant load factor is concerned, the business occupancy should have the occupant load factor of 1% per 100 square feet. The fire barrier, if the business occupancy is placed in the garage, so the fire barrier which need to separate the business occupancy with the garage should have a fire resistant rating of 2 watts. Any opening in the barrier will be protected, and if the garage is closed, then the opening may continue, because only if the garage is sprinkled. If the garage is in open place, then there are certain precaution or limitation which need to be focused for the separation of the garage and the business occupancy. The number one is the opening should not exceed 25% of the area. The second one is the opening can only be used for the public purposes, public entrance, exit. And the third one is the building of the business occupancy should be sprinkled. Only then the opening in the fire barrier can be continued. Moreover, the physical means should be provided for the movement and parking of the vehicles at least 10 feet away from the business occupancy. Now moving forward, regarding the means of egress in the business occupancies. Means of egress are basically the means which are being used in case of fire or any disaster to leave the building safely in the open way. As far as the means of egress are concerned, firstly we will discuss the general requirements of the means of egress. The means of egress should have the means of egress, general requirements of means of egress are: if any street floor exit located above or below the street or the finished ground level, such exits shall comply with the provisions of exit from upper floor or floor below the street. As the street floor exits are not at the level of the street floor or the finished ground floor, then the exits will not be considered as ground floor exits, or they will lead to exit discharge. Rather, they will be considered as the above or the lower floor of the building. When two or more floors below the street floors are occupied for the business occupancy, then the same stair or ramp shall be permitted to serve each floor. In case of an open staircase or ramp, then only one floor can be entertained with one staircase or one ramp in case of open staircase. Moving forward with the components of the means of egress. There are certain components of the means of egress which play a critical role to make the escape of the occupants out of the building. The first one is the fire doors. Fire doors should be listed and approved from the competent authorities. Moreover, the fire doors need not to be locked. If they are required to be locked as per the provisions, then certain conditions should be met. What are these? Number one is that locking means shall be capable of being engaged without opening the door. The second one is the unlocking. The unlocking and unlatching operation from the egress side of the door shall be accomplished without the use of key, tool or special knowledge. The third one is the releasing mechanism shall not require tight grasping, tight pinching or tightening of twist of the to operate. So the releasing mechanism shall be located between the 34-inch and the 48-inch above the finished floor. So it is very important that from the finished floor level, the opening mechanism should be placed from 34-inch to 48-inch. The doors shall be capable of being unlocked and opened from the outside of the room with the help of key. Locking mechanism shall not impair the operation or affect the listing of the door. So these are the components which need to be focused whenever the doors are being placed in the means of egress. The second component is the stairs. Stairs may be constructed as a new stair or there might be as a existing stairs. So both of the stairs have different permissible limits. So the maximum height, we are talking about the new stairs. So the maximum height of the riser shall be 7 inch, the riser, and the minimum shall be 4 inch. The tree depth shall be 11 inch and minimum headroom clearance shall be 6 feet and 8 inch. The minimum headroom clearance. Thirdly, the maximum height between the landing shall be 12 feet. The minimum height between the landing should be 12 feet of each floor. Existing stairs. Now we are talking about the existing stairs. Minimum width, which shall be clear of all obstruction. There should be no obstruction. Obstruction should be cleared. The minimum width, which shall be clear of all obstruction, shall be 36 inches. Maximum height of the riser shall be 8 inches, whereas the minimum tree depth shall be 9 inches. We are talking about the existing staircase. The headroom clearance of the stairs shall be 6 feet and 8 inch, and the height between the landing will be again 12 feet. New stair width having capacity of less than 2000 occupants or person shall be 24 inches, and the width of the staircases which are being used for the occupants more than 2000 shall be 56 inches. The clear width of the door opening discharging from the stairway required to be minimum 56 inches. Each stair platform and landing, not including handrail and existing stairs, to be type 1 or type 2 of the construction, which are non-combustible in nature. Handrails, which are being installed for the protection of the occupants. New handrails on stairs shall be not less than 34 inches and not more than 38 inches above the tree. For existing handrails on the stairs shall be not less than 30 inches and not more than the 38 inches. We are talking about the new stairs. For existing stairs, the stairs shall be provided with special signage within the exit enclosure measured at the walking surface. There should be a signage of floors or the exits at each platform. Provide minimum 1 foot candle illumination within the exit enclosure measured at the walking surface for the safety of the occupant. Smoke-proof enclosure shall be continuously enclosed by the barriers having a 2 or fire resistant rating from the highest level to the level of the exit discharge. Every smoke-proof enclosure shall discharge into a public way, into a yard or court having direct access to the public. The exit discharge should be at a public way. Now moving forward with the capacity, what will be the capacity of the means of egress? The total capacity of the mean of egress for any story, tier or their occupied space shall be sufficient for the occupant load which are present in the floor at that time. Occupant load factor, floor area. Occupant load factor is basically measured by dividing the floor area with the number of occupants. Where an exit serves more than one story, only the occupant load of each story considered individually shall be used in computing the required capacity of the exit. Moreover, capacity from a point of convergence shall be greater than the point of convergence. The capacity shall be greater than the sum of the required capacity of the exits which are being converged. Now here there is a table which shows the capacity of the different components of the means of egress. As for example, in case of staircase, in occupancies such as high hazard occupancies, the capacity of the staircase will be 0.7 inches, whereas the capacity of the ramp will be 0.4 inches. For the case of all other occupancies, the capacity of the stair will be 0.3 inch, and for the ramp that will be a 0.2 inch. Moving forward, in any existing building, the width of the exit access shall be permitted to be not less than 28 inches. The exit access should be not less than 28 inches. Now moving forward, the numbering, the number of the means of egress. Number of means of egress shall be not less than 2. Occupant load more than 500 but not more than 1000, there shall be 3 means of egress, and occupant load is more than 1000, then there will be a 4 means of egress. As far as the arrangement of the means of egress are concerned, the exits shall be located and exit access shall be arranged so that the exits are readily accessible at all times. Exit access corridor shall provide access to not less than 2 approved exits. Where 2 exits, exit access and exit discharge are required, they shall be located at a distance from one another not less than 1/2 of the length of the maximum overall diagonal dimension of the building or area to be served, made in straight line between the nearest edge to the exits. For sprinkler building, the same distance will be reduced to the 1/3. Now moving toward the travel distance. Travel distance to an exit shall be measured on the floors as follows: along the center line of the natural path of travel, starting from the most remote point subject to occupancy, curving around any corner or obstruction with a 12 inches clearance thereof, terminating at the center of doorway, other point at which exit begins to smoke barrier. Now discharge from exits. Exits shall terminate directly to the public way. The exit should be terminate directly to the public way at an exterior exit discharge. Width of the new exit discharge shall have width of not less than 36 inches, and existing exit discharge path to a public way have a width of not less than 28 inches. Not more than 75% of required number and capacity of exit stairs serving normally occupied areas of each floor shall be permitted to discharge through vestibules and foyers on any level of discharge, where the level of discharge is protected throughout by an approved sprinkler system as per NFP 30. The interior exit discharge should be protected by a sprinkler system and shall be separated from no sprinkler portion of the floor by the fire barrier. The interior exit discharge shall lead to a free and unobstructed way to the exterior of the building. Now moving forward, what are the exits of the means of egress? As we discussed, there are three parts of the means of egress: the exit access, exit and exit discharge. So what is the exit? The portion of the means of egress that is separated from all other spaces of the buildings or structures by construction, location or equipment as required to provide a protective way of travel to exit discharge. So that is called the exit. Then what is the exit access? Exit access, the portion of the means of egress that leads to an exit, is called exit access. Now what is the exit discharge? As we discussed, exit discharge is also part of means of egress. So exit discharge, the portion of a means of egress between the termination of an exit and a public way is called the exit discharge. Now what is the public way? What is the public way? A street, alley or similar parcel of the land is essentially open to the outside air. Moreover, that is deeded, dedicated or otherwise permanently approached to the public for public use and have a clear width and height of not less than 10 feet. That is called the public way. Now there is some exercise for you people in which you people will identify the means of egress for different floors of the building to understand that you people are getting me and I am able to clarifying the concepts. So moving forward, what is the compartmentation and fire barriers? Every building shall be divided into compartments to limit the spread of fire and restrict the movement of smoke. Fire barriers are divided into 4 types. The fire barriers having 3 hours fire resistant rating, 2 hours fire resistant rating, 1 hour fire resistant rating and half hour fire resistant rating. So these are the types of the fire barriers. Now what is the continuity needed for the fire barrier and fire smoke compartment? Fire barrier shall be either continuous from outside wall to outside wall or from one fire barrier to another fire barrier. Interior walls and partition of non-symmetrical construction shall be enclosed from both direction and assigned a fire resistant rating in accordance with the ASTM E119. That is a test which is being conducted to check the fire resistant rating of different materials. Every opening in a fire barrier shall be protected to limit the spread of the fire from one side to the other side of the barrier. Fire door, windows and glazings should be tested and labeled as well. Smoke compartments shall be formed with smoke barriers. Fire compartmentation shall be formed with fire barriers. I hope you people are getting my point. So moving forward to the last slide. What is the fire barrier vertical continuity? Fire barrier are continuous from outside wall to outside wall or from one fire barrier to another or a combination thereof, including continuity through all concealed spaces such as those found above a ceiling, including interstitial spaces. Moreover, the fire barriers are continuous from outside wall to inside wall or from the fire barrier to another and from floor to bottom of the interstitial spaces has a fire resistant rating not less than that of fire barrier. So this is the continuity of fire barrier. In order to prevent the smoke or fire to access the room in which the occupants are present or in the refuge area, so these requirements need to be met by the fire barrier and compartmentation occupancies. So fire barrier classifications, as I already told you, that there are 4 types of fire barrier classification. That would be a 3 or fire resistant rating materials, 2 or fire resistant rating materials, 1 or and half or. So I hope you people were able to understand me, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much.